CNN and Time on special assignment with Bernard Shaw and Stephen Frazier. Impact, a collaboration of two of the world's leading news organizations, CNN and Time. From Atlanta, here's Stephen Frazier.
Welcome to Impact. We begin with a trip to boot camp for a taste of the harshness of basic training and a discussion of whether that training is better endured in a gender-segregated battalion or in the company of some recruits from the opposite sex. Obviously, our interest grows from the weeks of scandal that have boiled out of the military recently. Lots of people have had something to say as a result. But what's it like on the ground? Here's David Lewis with some of the record 36,000 women enlisting this year.
Sit up straight and get your eyes on me. From now on, the first and last words out of your mouth are sir. Do you understand that? Yes, sir! No, do you understand that? Yes, sir!
A Marine Corps welcome to boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina.
You will be where you're told to be, in a proper uniform at all times. Do you understand that?
How about getting your thumbs along your charter seat?
A welcome for the female recruits.
And most importantly, your mouth is shut.
And most importantly of all, your mouth should be shut.
A welcome for the males.
Do you understand that? Yes, sir! No, I said, do you understand that? Yes, sir!
The Marine Corps separates the kids who hope to be Marines.
Close your mouth.
They will barely see each other over the next 3 months.
Hurry up.
Hurry up, let's go.
We feel that 12-week period is so intense and so demanding that those young people need to be entirely focused on that transformation process. They don't need to be distracted by sexual tensions, if you will.
One, two,
Since 1994, the Navy has had a very different approach to boot camp. Here at the Great Lakes Naval Training Center near Waukegan, Illinois, these young women hoping to become sailors will train in units that are half male and half female.
The fleet is gender integrated. Men and women serve together on ships and in squadrons at sea today, and we've got to train them here at Great Lakes to be well prepared for that environment.
Open!
Open.
Two very different approaches.
Prepare to throw!
Prepare to go.
Two ways of handling what the civilian world demands of the military.
Throw!
That women be given every chance to succeed at virtually every level of the armed services, starting at basic training.
You had to put yourself, recruit!
But that decision to give women the chance to serve their country in new ways has been accompanied by a rash of incidents.
A court-martial is set to begin Tuesday for a female pilot once considered a rising star in the U.S. Air Force.
Keep going.
A rash that keeps spreading.
The Army sex scandal has claimed another casualty. The top.
I want you to get a signal, gas, gas, gas.
Even as the new recruits keep arriving.
Simpson was convicted of 47 of 54 counts of sexually abusing 6 women.
These waves of scandals and their lurid headlines have put the military in a bind. More than half of military women are reporting some kind of sexual harassment. That stark fact has brought contradictory pressures. On the one hand, pressure to reform the services in a way that would prevent sexual abuse from occurring. On the other hand, pressure to change the military rules about sexual relations to reflect the reality of the 1990s. And pressure to actually remove women from anywhere near combat and to resegregate basic training. So a bill was introduced in the House that would separate the sexes at all the boot camps. The Senate held hearings on the issue. The Secretary of Defense decided to appoint a civilian panel to undertake a full review. And politicians and advocates from all sides of the debate have had a field day preaching to the public about what the armed forces ought to do.
We can't pretend that men and women are always interchangeable and pretend that separation of the sexes is no longer necessary. But the needs of the military must come first.
Elaine Donnelly is probably the staunchest critic of the drive to move women into greater roles in the military. The mission of Donnelly's conservative organization is to ask politically incorrect questions about what's best for the armed forces. tough questions. For example, should men and women be together in basic training?
There is no necessity for co-ed training, certainly not just because of political pressures from outsiders or civilians or even members of Congress who have a different agenda in mind.
We should not roll back current service training practices that work.
Jane Harmon is one of the leading congressional defenders of the expanded role of women in the military.
I think that separate training designed just to separate the sexes when they are going to work together later is inherently unequal and hobbles women and will hurt them as they advance and will cause them to fail. And then everyone will say later, aha, women can't make it. And that's grossly unfair.
But while the politicians and advocates argue the issues across the chasm of this debate, young Marines like Melissa Ohm and Navy recruits like Charlene Lindgren
Throw that right arm out, throw it down on the bulkhead, go.
are living these issues. Approaching basic training in the separate ways their branches of the military and the unique missions of those branches demand.
We feel very strongly about the way that we train our Marines, that we make Marines for the future. We feel that that's the way we need to do it today. We feel that's the way we will continue to do it in the future.
A future with female Marines in segregated boot camp. Marines like Melissa Ohm.
The men went one way and we went the other, and we didn't see each other for 3 months. So it was we were completely segregated.
Was that good? Was that strange? Was that?
It was very good, actually, because it gave the women a chance to bond, to work together as a team.
Why wouldn't integrated training be as effective?
There's certain things that we discuss, that we go through as females together as a group that you really couldn't do with men around. And you need to get used to working with females. You need to learn to work with, I guess, your same sex first.
Melissa Ohm thrived at boot camp, and she was in the first group of female Marines to go to 2-week combat training at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Her female platoon trained next to male platoons. Women fired the heavy weapons alongside the men. The female Marines were treated as combat equals for the first time. And Melissa Ohm was a little more equal. Out of 352 Marines, 299 male and 53 female, she was voted the best of the bunch.
Company honor grad for class 21-97 is the Marine you see bearing the company guidon for this ceremony. Lance Corporal Melissa L. Ohm.
Segregated training clearly worked for Ohm and clearly works for the Marine Corps, where women are still excluded from combat units, even though they are trained to fight. While the Navy's methods, where women will be in combat positions in the fleet, seem to work for Charlene Lindgren and her branch of the service. What's it like to be training with men in this situation?
It's great. They support you, they back you up. We work well with each other. I was expecting conflict. Not really, there wasn't really any.
Let go of the rope, folks.
Training Lindgren and her classmates was Petty Officer Susan Schaff, who went through Navy boot camp herself 14 years ago.
We never were allowed to even look at a male recruit, and now we have them intermingling right off the bat from boot camp. And it seems to me they learn to get along better and maybe respect each other a little bit more.
You guys have a good weekend. Stay out of trouble.
The captain in charge of basic training at Great Lakes, where all the Navy's recruits now go through boot camp, is Corey Whitehead.
You got family coming tonight?
Young people coming in today are integrated in their high schools, they're integrated in their homes, and they're integrated when they come into service. They will be integrated in the fleet, and to do anything differently in boot camp would be artificial.
Not everyone agrees.
The military is there to defend the country, and we shouldn't have policies that detract from readiness and the efficiency of the military.
People who say that treating our sailors well, all of them well, hurts readiness, don't know what they're talking about. Go to any naval installation, any ship, any squadron, and see how well their people, their sailors, men and women, are performing and see if they still think that we're not doing it right. We are doing it right today.
But everything hasn't been entirely all right, as the scandals and their fallout have made clear.
The slow, agonizing demise of Air Force General Joseph Ralston's prospects to be the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff finally ended Monday.
And gender issues for the military will only get hotter as women get closer and closer to serving in the once exclusively male domain of combat. Politicians will posture.
The Pentagon is not in touch with reality.
Generals will testify.
I would like to move forward with...
Advocates will generate sound bites.
Sex has become a readiness issue.
And recruits will keep streaming into boot camp. Young women and men struggling to find themselves. The services struggling to find their way. While the nation remains perplexed about the role of men and women, sex and gender in the military.
The civilian panel David mentioned, appointed by the Secretary of Defense, led by former Senator Nancy Kassebaum Baker, has 6 months to review integrated training and report back.